Welcome back to another week of Instigating with Clarkey and Drury, brought to you as always by our friends at Coolbet Canada, the Listowel Squash Courts, Listowel Vision Care, and See the Game. Ryan Drury alongside Chris Clark, and we're very pleased to be joined by David Watkins, the former VP of Business with the Argonauts. He also worked with the Ticats, so who better to have on leading in to the Grey Cup? How are you, Waddy? How's it going?
Well, I'm excited. This is a great time of year. It's like Christmas for CFL fans, when it gets to be Grey Cup week. And when you see the costumes that some fans wear up to Grey Cup, you'd swear that, Santa paid a visit. It's just a great coming together of the country still after all these, 100 and some odd years that the Grey Cup's been played.
I can't wait. And it's in Regina, as we know, this year, and the weather today in Regina was bitterly cold, but it is supposed to warm up. I was hoping for a kind of a cold one. What's the coldest one you were at? I remember one in Winnipeg back in the, 90s, but what was the coldest one you remember?
1991. I've got stories from every year that, I attended Grey Cups, and I've been at over 30 to give you an idea. There are a lot of memories. But in 91, it was minus 13 at kickoff, and it got cold after it got dark. It got colder after that. And there was, we had a cornerback by the name of Reggie Pleasant who got frostbite in his feet that day. That tells you how cold it was. And imagine kicking the ball when it's that cold. It's just like kicking a rock, right? You shudder. But I attended a game in Regina that was one of the coldest I remember too. And there I remember I was going to try and light a cigar in the stands, and it just wouldn't light because it was so cold and windy. Tells you an idea of how cold it can be at the Grey Cup.
And the one in Hamilton I remember too, with Doug Flutie and Pinball in the Snow Bowl. I guess you've heard the Buffalo Bills have moved their game this week because of a little bit of snow heading their way. But that snow game in for the Argos in Hamilton was a neat game too, wasn't it? They won that one.
The great thing, that was 1996, and the great thing about that was the Argos got to use the Ticat dressing room for that one. So.
Perfect. That's special. That's special. Now, there's one guy I wanted to bring up because he's friends of yours and mine, and I think he's been there as long as I can remember. But he's in charge of making sure these guys stay warm, and he's in charge of making sure these guys have the right footwear. Probably the busiest time for him. But Danny Webb, the equipment manager, he just keeps going, and still there now. I'm sure he's in Regina right now, but. Wow, it can make such a difference, though, can't it, Waddy?
He is the master. And, when it comes to equipment in the CFL, those guys are just as important as a quarterback because they've got to make sure the footwear is right for the conditions. And I remember he took us on arrival in Winnipeg in 91, took us immediately before the bus even got to the stadium, took us to the Army surplus store where we loaded up on snow boots and leather mitts and all the stuff to keep guys warm through the week. So he's the master. He's brought out broom ball shoes. I think that was another one of his tricks. I don't think he's ever thrown them out. Those shoes are probably falling apart. They've been around in his trunks for so long, but he's still got the broom ball shoes, I think.
Wow. Unbelievable stuff. We're chatting with David Watkins, the former VP of Business with the Argos, also spent years with the Ticats. And I got to ask you, Waddy, this is a really intriguing Grey Cup matchup. We're talking about a real powerhouse, almost a dynastic team in these Winnipeg Blue Bombers that have just gone back to back to back Grey Cup appearances now against a really talented, kind of stingy Argonauts team that has kind of had to bite and claw their way there. What do you see happening in this game? Like, do the Argonauts, they're obviously the underdogs. Do they have a shot to win this? And how do they do that in your mind?
They have an almost unstoppable force in the two running backs they've got. Ouellette and and Andrew Harris, of course. And when you get those two guys together in the same backfield, you saw some of the benefits that they ran Ouellette out of the backfield as a receiver, and he's fast as well as huge, and so is Harris. You put those two guys together in the same backfield, they are built for cold weather. And I don't want to underestimate Mike O'Shea's preparation, because he is himself a master of defensive strategy. I think he'll be up for the task, but I do think the Argos are built for this game.
And Andrew Harris, being a Winnipeg native, played for the Blue Bombers. Like, you being around these guys, you would know that some of the guys carry a little bee in their bonnet when they have this kind of opportunity to go in there and prove a team wrong, don't you?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And, they're great individuals too, as well as being, fine, upstanding Canadians. They are both guys who have a great attitude for the game. And just watch out for the Boatmen on Sunday. That is my betting interest, I'll say.
I like that. We're on the Argos simply because you said so. So we're gonna call our friends at Coolbet and make sure they know we're on the Argos. Go Argos! All right, I have to ask you though, Waddy. Look, you've seen a lot of really good CFL teams, great CFL teams. You've been involved and worked for great CFL teams over the years. Put into context for us, if you can, just how good this Winnipeg team is, because they've gotten all the plaudits, deservedly so. They had an unbelievable year last year. They are a powerhouse. Let's be honest. Just how good are they?
Well, the Ticats have a good knack in getting rid of players who end up being stars for other teams. And when I say that, Zach Collaros is an excellent quarterback. I will tell you that it is hard enough to repeat as Grey Cup champions. And that is another thing I think on my side. Only Edmonton Eskimos have managed to, in the modern era, to win 3 in a row. And they, in fact, won 5 in a row. That's just incredible to me, because you got hunger. And I think Mike has coached that hunger with that team. I'll talk with bravado about the Argos, but don't count out the Bombers. It's going to be an excellent game in my mind. That I think Winnipeg's going to go for 3, and it's every game that they played this year has been, I think, symbolic of the type of hard-nosed team that they are.
They are a good team, but let's not forget, if it wasn't for one of the most boneheaded plays in CFL Grey Cup history, Hamilton should have won that game last year. That goes right down to La Police having too many men on the field in Saskatchewan one year. But, the guy who I want to watch too this weekend is a guy who played for Hamilton and been in, I think, 3 straight Grey Cups too, is Brandon Banks. I don't think the Argos have utilized him a lot this season, but boy, he really got a lot of action last week. And I think they'll be looking at him to be the breakout guy too on the receiving core.
How about that catch that he made off his shoe tops? That was incredible.
Yeah.
And upon further review, they still called it a catch. That was incredible. He's, I think, you were talking about a bee in his bonnet. I think he's got that bee. He wants to win the big one. Never won it in Hamilton. Hamilton hasn't won it since '99. I'll just, make a point of mentioning that again. And I think Brandon Banks is going to be up for the challenge on Sunday.
Yeah.
Waddy, I have to ask you before we let you go. We know you got a show to go see, and it's going to be a show on Sunday. It's going to be a great Grey Cup. We can't wait. I have to ask you about another developing storyline in the CFL. Obviously, Nathan Rourke was off to just a torch fire start to this season before he got hurt. He was going to run away with the MOP. He was unbelievable. He's now going to go down and work out with some NFL teams. And, we've seen guys try and go down before. We've seen guys come up from the NFL and have success, but we don't often see it go the other way necessarily. How good do you think this guy is? And does he have a legitimate shot at cracking an NFL team? Because frankly, I'm watching a lot of NFL games this year and I'm seeing some terrible quarterbacking. I think he might have a legit shot, Waddy. Do you?
I do think he does have a shot. He's an excellent quarterback with age on his side, right? And that's a big thing for NFL teams to get those guys, from the, early point in their career. So I wouldn't count him out. There's something to be said about athletes, and he's obviously an excellent athlete. I'm not saying this will be the case, but he may have life, to play in a different position. He could be a receiver. He could be a holder on field goal attempts. He could be a lot of different things. He's got that kind of versatility. Tough nut to crack to be an NFL quarterback, but don't count him out. He's another tough-nosed Canadian, that's for sure.
Well, Waddy, before we let you go, give us your prediction. You've already said you think maybe the Argos. Do you have a score in mind for this one?
I haven't really given it too much thought, but I think you're going to see, let's call it, I'm going to say Argos by 17.
Wow.
27-10.
I like
convincing victory. Convincing victory. Well, yeah. Thank you for coming on. I know you're down in Niagara on the lake. Get out of there before the snow hits. There's 6 feet of snow coming to Buffalo. I'm sure a little bit of that will trickle up there.
No. Anyway, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Waddy, thanks so much, man. All right, we'll take a quick break on the show. When we come back, a lot to talk about, including a great tribute to an all-time great Maple Leaf in Borje Salming, an emotional night at Scotiabank last Saturday, and of course, emotion for Blue Jays fans. Teoscar Hernandez traded away to the Seattle Mariners. Lots to touch on next here on Instigating. Welcome back to Instigating with Clarkey and Drury. Thanks to our friend David Watkins, former VP of Business with the Argos, and spent some years with the Ticats. He was great, Clarkey. We're on the Argos.
No, yeah, I'm on the Argos too. I think it'll be a little higher scoring. I'm thinking it's going to be like a shootout. It's going to be 42-34. 42-34.
42-34.
We're going to have some scoring in this one.
I'll go 42-34.
Adam, write this down, please.
Yeah, I'll go. What did Waddy have? 27-10 Argos?
27-10.
27-10. Yeah. You're going 42 and
34.
42-34. I'll go 30-24 Argos. We're all on the Argos. I don't know if that's good or bad.
We're all on the Argos.
We're on the boat, man. We're all rowing in the same direction. You know who's not rowing in the same direction, though? And coming up, we're going to obviously talk about Borje Salming, the Hernandez trade from the Jays. You know who's not in the same direction? The NHL and a lot of their players on equipment. Boy, we've seen some nasty stuff happen. The Evander Kane thing, so scary. Cut right down to the bone on a skate blade. There's a lot to be said about this stuff, Clarkey. And literally the NHL announcing, as we record this, the NHL is now going to make it mandatory for all future players to wear helmets during pregame warmups. The rule will apply to those who entered the league in 2019-20 or later. Players who reached the NHL before then are exempt, so they're grandfathering this in on a 3-year basis now and going forward. We've seen some guys get hurt. Max Domi, a bunch of guys in pregame warmups taking pucks off the head. The Evander Kane thing, boy, it's it's preventable stuff, really.
Right. That's exactly right. That was the perfect words, preventable. And, like these guys who don't wear their helmets, there's only one reason they're not wearing helmets, and that's just to look cool. That's the only reason. It's just to look cool. I've seen players before games, like straightening their hair before they go out on a pregame warm. Like, that's the only reason, right? They look around in the stand and they see some people and they, the wink's going and I don't have it on. I'm cool. So yeah, you got to do it. You know what? Every once in a while I watch hockey and I get scared and I'm like, God, that could happen to me. I'm a goalie. I'm down on the ground a lot. My back of my legs are exposed a lot. It wouldn't take anything for some guy in beer league to lose his balance and step on my leg, the back of my calf or Achilles or whatever. Right. So it happened. I can't remember what goalie it was, but a goalie a couple of years ago, it might've been Lundqvist. I'm not sure. Got a stick through the cage. And I used to wear the cat eye cage that most goalies, well, all the goalies in the National Hockey League have.
Well, Clarkey in the playoffs, that happened to Darcy Kemper last playoffs.
Yeah. So I saw that and I said, you know what? Why? Like, I can get used to one of the CSA approved ones that you can't get a stick through. And I changed and I'm fine. I'm not good anyway, but I like it. I don't find my vision. It's just something you get used to, right? Sure. Probably I could see a little bit better with the cat eye, but I've moved to the CSA approved mask that you see in the World Juniors. You see all the goalies wearing all the way up until the NHL, and then they want to get a bigger hole so they can see out of. So I did that. Well, yesterday I was on Amazon and I'm just Googling hockey socks, Kevlar, Andy cut. And I bought a pair and they're actually regular socks. Like not that we would wear every day, but hockey socks, and they're supposed to be cut proof. And I bought it. They were $26. Just buy them. Just protect yourself, people. Just go out there and you can buy regular socks too that you wear every day that are for hockey. And they're cut proof as well. And I bought a better neck protector. I had a neck protector, but it had not anti-cut on it. So I bought one of those because you wouldn't want, your neck slashed. That's probably not a good idea in hockey either. And we've seen that happen once in the National Hockey League too. So I'm at the age now where I don't really want to, and I just don't want to get cut. I don't want to when it's preventable. And that's what you said, it's preventable. So let's prevent it. And I even looked at, they have sleeves that will cover your wrist as well. Now my goalie gloves go up pretty far. I don't wear out gloves like a lot of the guys do that are very short nowadays, or like gardening gloves. I tell you what, cover up those wrists and wear some anti-cut stuff on those. And that you can buy either a full shirt that comes right down that has anti-cut stuff on the sleeves, or you could just buy a wrist protector that you just slip on. I just think it should be mandated in the National Hockey League. I don't know why guys, you know what? Here's the reason. And I know for a fact because I tried this a few years ago. It's hotter. It doesn't breathe. It is a lot hotter to wear that kind of stuff. But again, I'm at the place now where I don't care. I don't care if it's hotter. I'll just sweat more, but I'm not going to get cut. And that's what I'm trying to prevent.
Yeah, I mean, you think back, with the neck stuff, which is like the freak of all freak injuries, but Malarchuk, Richard Zednick a few years ago, that was really scary. And now, you see it with Evander Kane. Other guys at other levels have had really scary cut injuries. And yeah, I mean, even when I was playing, I was wearing Kevlar. I wasn't good either, but I'm not in the National Hockey League. And again, it's all a comfort thing. We know that these guys are creatures of habit, and they like to have their stick a certain way and their sock a certain way, and they get dressed the same way all the time. Well, maybe it's time to start rethinking your routine here. Cause I mean, look at Evander Kane. I mean, he's going to be out for probably about 4 months. It cut him right down to the bone. That was really scary. You could die, you lose that much blood. It's just really, really serious thing. We think about what happened with Erik Karlsson years back when he got stepped on the back of the skate, getting tangled up with Matt Cook. This is stuff that doesn't need to happen. And I found it, interesting, and this stuff is available too. And after Evander Kane got cut, TJ Oshie, who has his own hockey apparel line and equipment line, went on social media and shared that his company, what is it? War Road brand, where he's from, War Road, Minnesota. He has his own brand of fully up to the cuff anti-cut material, and he wears it every game. TJ Oshie's a pretty good player. I don't know. I feel goofy, telling grown men what to do and not to do as they play this sport. And it's just that not only
here's what bugs me. What bugs me is you can't tell me what to do. You can't tell me what to do. That's what bugs me. Just mandate it.
In some ways, you kind of can, though.
It's got to be
you kind of can.
The bargain.
Well, look, I mean, they've mandated this helmet rule.
Yeah,
I'm sure players aren't a fan of that. I think it's more of a thing where that's a rules thing. This is more of like a workplace safety thing. I would assume that because of the way the league's pay structure is, that you can mandate stuff like this without the player's approval. And look, hey, no, and we'll touch on this in the next segment. Nobody wants to side with the owners on anything less than me, but it is an investment that they make in these guys. And now, exactly. Kenny Holland and the group out in Edmonton, they're without a guy who's become a really consistent power forward for them in Evander Kane for a really long time, for something that could have been prevented if he was just wearing different stuff. And
we saw it with Mikheyev with the Leafs. He was out for months. Same thing. Wrist.
Absolutely.
Same thing.
It's look,
happening.
hey,
it's happening. Skates are sharper. Skates are like really sharp now.
Everything's more advanced. And look, I was a guy too that liked the shorter guard on your glove itself. I like the shorter guard. Guys like to, they handle the puck a certain way, and that's fine. You don't have to have the big old school Cooper,
Bobby Orr wore one's right up to his elbow.
Yeah, thanks, Grapes. But that was in 1971. You don't even need that. You just have the Kevlar thing. Well, he didn't get cut. He had a bunch of other unfortunate stuff. But look, you can have that material. It goes right up, hugs your wrist. Evander Kane got cut right down along here for our viewers. And, if he's wearing this stuff, he's playing. Mm-hmm. He's playing tonight, folks.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I just think that it's gotten to a level here where it's a little unnecessary. There's something else I just want to touch on quickly that's unnecessary. Clarkey, I know it's your favorite sport in the world and you're really excited to watch the World Cup.
If you're talking about soccer, the whole thing is unnecessary.
Well, you know what? For the first time ever, I agree. In my lifetime, yes. I don't think that they should be playing. I just don't. I think it should be canceled already. As we record this, a ball hasn't even been kicked. And look, I'm happy for Canada. I'm not anti my own country. I'm very happy for Canada being there. I'm not watching this tournament. I'm not doing it. And look, you can call me woke or whatever the hell you want. I just don't care. I'm not supporting this Qatari.
Well, tell us why, Ryan. I mean,
oil
I'm sure
regime.
I know, but tell.
I'm just not doing it. This country is sick. They killed thousands of people and buried them underneath the stadiums to make this happen. They got this World Cup with no prior infrastructure. They had to build everything and cost people thousands of poor migrant workers their lives to do it. It's baffling to me. And there's a great new documentary about it, FIFA Uncovered on Netflix, where they go into it all. The United States should have had this, or England. There's tons of stadiums already. Nope. Have to make these Qatari oil barons happy. It's a joke. Right. I think that country and the way they treat women, I think that country and the way that they treat the LGBTQ community, you're not allowed. You're actually put to death there if you identify as anything other than heterosexual. It's embarrassing to me. And we saw the Danish, TV news crew there out filming in front of the media center. They've got media credentials approved by the royal family or whoever the hell's running the show over there, the oil people. And they're out there filming, doing a hit on Danish news, and they come and they shut them down and took their camera. And the guy in obviously Danish said to them, you invited the world here. Like, this is what it is. It's the biggest tournament in the world. You can't just not let people film. And they issued an apology the next day and all this stuff. It's embarrassing beyond belief. It's the most embarrassing sporting event of modern times. It's sickening that this country and the way, and look, it's not a thing where I'm sitting here and I'm anti-Islam. I'm anti-Arabic countries. I think it would be a good thing to have the World Cup in an Arabic country. It's not a thing of I don't want it there for X, Y, and Z. I don't care what religion you are. I really don't. But that country and the way that they treat their citizens and the way that they treat people is unacceptable to me to have the world's game there. It's sick. It's sick. I'm not watching. pardon me. I'm so mad. I'm not watching. I wish Canada well. I can't watch this tournament, Clarkey. I think it's sickening that they're doing this.
I hear you, bud. Let's take a break and I'll rile you up a little bit more after the break. How's that?
Yeah, great. Yeah, let me. Perfect. Yeah, I'm going to avoid energy drinks for the next week. Perfect. I'll just get Clarkey to spark some anger. When we come back, though, we will talk about some serious stuff. Obviously, Borje Salming getting a much-deserved recognition of his life and career as he battles ALS bravely at Scotiabank Arena last weekend. And, of course, Teoscar Hernandez, he's no longer a Blue Jay. That's coming up next on Instigating. Welcome back to Instigating with Clarkey and Drury this week. Ryan Drury back here with Chris Clark as lots to still talk about here. Let's talk a little bit about the Maple Leafs and
the Maple Leafs. All right.
Let's talk about your Maple Leafs because you know what?
Yeah,
we like to talk about the team a lot. We're in Southern Ontario here. We can be pretty harsh on them. And rightly so. We can be pretty harsh on these guys. And hey, they bring that on themselves a lot of the time. But I will say that last Saturday night was a moment where they really, really got it right. Not only on the ice, thank God they won that game because they blew it on Friday with the Hall of Fame game. But Saturday, when they actually honored Borje Salming, they really got it right. They won the game, and the pregame show was just immaculate.
It was. I was out of town, but I did tune in on my phone on a drive from Nashville to Williamsburg, Kentucky. And I watched the entire game ceremony on my phone. So it's such a sad time with Borje and his ALS and his battle. And it was very touching, like you wonder if he'll be at another Leaf game. And it's something that, the Montreal Canadiens always do well when they honor their players. And, and it's good to see that the Leafs did this, and it touched a lot of people. And I thought it was very touching as well when Sheldon Keefe started 6 Swedes on the ice for the game. The Leafs have 6 and they all started. It was a nice touch, a nice tribute to Borje. And it's going to be sad moving forward because it's, as you know, not something that can be cured.
Yeah, it's a stark reality for sure. I thought it was a great send-off for many people, my mom included, growing up watching those teams. Many people would say the greatest Leaf. Like, for a lot of people, Borje Salming is the be-all end-all in terms of effort. He's everything that the Leafs fans love. Not only was he an extremely talented player, and he probably got screwed out of at least 1 Norris Trophy. Some would say probably 2, but it was his battle level, like something that we talk about so often with this team nowadays that he had an abundance of. Like, this guy came over and was, pigeonholed as, a chicken Swede, a European player who couldn't last in the rough and tumble bully era, I'll call it, of the NHL, the Flyers flying around, punching everybody in the face. And this guy took more abuse probably than almost any NHL star really ever. Like, I mean, him and the Rocket took some serious abuse on the ice that guys nowadays would shudder at. And and he survived it all and gave it right back. Like, you think about the skate blade in the face with the stitches, 150 stitches. I mean, all of the fights that he got in, the beautiful plays that he would make, easily at the time one of the best skaters ever. He could just fly out there. He was literally a complete hockey player, and to see him going through what he's going through now is obviously terrible. ALS is just such a robbery of a disease, and you said it, Clarkey, it's probably the last time that we'll see him over here. And it's, I mean, I was in tears. Like, honestly, I don't think there was a dry eye watching the screen or in the building, seeing Daryl Sittler, like his good buddy, like it just emotional.
Tiger was there too. Tiger and Daryl up in the box. And
Matt Sundin was over with him and his family. It was really great what they did. Yeah. And I will say that, again, we harp on the team. They can't win in the playoffs, blah, blah, blah. One thing I will say, though, for Brendan Shanahan in his time is he has done a really good job of touching back to the roots. Harold Ballard did a lot of damage to this organization. And you could argue that the teachers' pension people kind of didn't do much better. I will say this for Brendan Shanahan, whatever his legacy ends up being, he's done a great job of going back to the roots and reconnecting this generation of Leaf fans to the great past that the Leafs do have, Clarkey.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And it did start before Brendan got there. I was there, and it was happening then, like between, 2004 to 2011. They were, all the old players' photos were back up. Like they used to be at the Gardens. They never really got them down at the Air Canada Center at the time. And they slowly did it. They slowly started honoring the guys and putting their numbers and names in the rafters. And then Tim Lywicki came in and said, you know what? We need to move forward. We need to get rid of all this. And they got rid of it all. And I'm like, I'm sure you've gathered from my rants before about Tim Lywicki. Some people love him. And I'm not one of those, put it that way. And then Brendan came in and it's turned back around and I it's good. And the team is playing well. The team has done it again. Same as last year. They had a terrible start and now they're up to 7th in the National Hockey League. Their goal scoring is mysteriously low. They're like 24th, I think, in the league in goal scoring, but the goalies are playing well. The defense is playing well, even though they're still giving up chances, but their goals against is what's keeping them in and making them win right now. And I'm frustrated about is the whole National Hockey League when it comes to trades. We spoke a little off air about the OHL and how you can make trades so much easier because there's no salary cap. The NHL just seems to have a stranglehold on player movement that doesn't happen. And it's so hard, I would assume, to make a trade because the Leafs aren't going to win the cup the way they're structured right now. But I firmly believe if they can make a couple of deals, they can be there. And there's some guys out there who I think they should target, and we'll see what happens. But you just sort of get the feeling that Kyle Dubas can't do anything because he hasn't done anything. Like, I give him credit. Everyone was calling for just something to happen when they were, 2 weeks ago, right? Or 3 weeks ago when we were talking. Who were we talking to? Dangle. And it was just like, they got to make a trade to make a trade. Well, they didn't, and they turned it around again. And they didn't fire the coach. They turned it around with Sheldon Keefe. But there's some teams out there, and I keep looking at Vancouver thinking there's got to be a match. There's got to be a match with Vancouver. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I know that in the past you've brought up JT Miller. I don't think our friend Steve Dangle wants anything to do with him. If you saw his recent podcast, he shredded him pretty hard. But no, I know, in essence, I know what you mean. And again, I'm really just kind of tired of the salary cap. I think that overall, like, I think it's done more harm than good. I do too. Think that I just think that they need to go to a luxury tax system. And, look, I've complained a lot about the structure well, I know. And that's because of Gary Bettman.
I'm just going to say there's no way those lower teams, right. And the lower teams, the teams that don't make the money, don't want that in the league, because then there'll be imbalanced,
listen, yeah, but what? I don't care then. Then
I don't either.
Don't own a sports team. I'm sick and tired of this. Like, people just going,
exactly.
Well, this owner won't be able to. Don't own a team then.
Right.
So
and look at and Ryan, like right now, the Ottawa Senators are going to sell for $800 million to $1 billion.
Uh-huh.
Do you think someone's going to buy the Ottawa Senators, who have been a perennial bottom feeder for so long, if they can't make money? These teams are making money. Don't kid yourself. They're making money, or they wouldn't be getting bought for $800 million. Like, it's ridiculous.
There's a thing to be said about appreciating value and the year-to-year income. And fine, look, I'm not an economist, but I'm not dumb either. I understand that a lot of these teams and baseball's problem is they have too many extremely rich cheapskates. Yes, John Fisher is not spending money with the Oakland Athletics. The guy's worth $4.5 billion. Don't own a team. You don't want to spend money and keep Matt Olson and Matt Chapman here? Don't buy the team. Sorry.
Right.
Like, I'm sick and tired of people making excuses for these rich pigs. I don't care. I happen to love the owner of my NHL team, and I think he'd spend well above the luxury tax if there was one. I think Ted Leonsis is great. I'm not going to accept excuses from him, though, when money comes in. The Barry Trotz fiasco is a great example. They wouldn't pay Barry Trotz $6 million a year after he won a Stanley Cup.
Right.
But they had to pay, and I can't even remember this guy's name. They had to pay the then Washington Nets coach $10 million a season. The Washington Nets suck, or whatever they're called, the Wizards. Who cares? No magic there.
You're not the Bullets anymore. I know that much.
Well, they should take a bullet to that franchise because it's an embarrassment. Is what it is. And they had to give this basketball guy who what a whiz he was, pun intended, $10 million. Can't give a guy that just won a Stanley Cup $6+ million to stay. What a joke. So I'll even take my own ownership group of the team I like to task. I don't want to hear this anymore. Oh, well, it would disadvantage the Carolinas and the Arizonas. Arizona's already at a disadvantage. They play in a 5,000 seat stadium. Sandy's upset about it.
Sandy wanted to make an appearance today.
They should move them here. You know what? I'm even on board with you. Make them a second Toronto team. Call them the Toronto Sandys. I don't care. Just anything but this junk. Oh, yeah. A luxury tax would put Arizona at a disadvantage. They're at a disadvantage now.
Right.
Like, Gary.
I know.
Hello.
It's not.
I'm in a bad mood, guys. I'm in a bad mood. I can't do this anymore. I'm sick of it. And I agree. You got me on a tangent here. The movement and lack thereof ability to make a movement is lame, and it's not fun for anybody. Like,
and everyone seems to be wanting to wait for the trade deadline or whatever. And it's like,
and then nothing happens.
Or a guy moves for way too much, and it's like, it's not fun anymore to watch and follow National Hockey League. They've taken the fun out of it.
I used to skip school on trade deadline day. My friends and I would all skip school and like order pizzas and just watch, because usually something would happen. The way it is now, it's just like, and hey, there's still lots of trades. There will be like 50 trades, but like 12 of them are AHL deals,
right?
And for a fifth defenseman, because it's all teams can do to get a guy, and it's just so annoying, and it's not entertaining. You know what sells? You know what? The NFL. I know it's unfair to compare them, but you know what? And the NFL has a salary cap, but you know what? Good teams that are perennially good sell. For 25 years, everybody wanted to beat the Red Wings. The Red Wings were like the model franchise. It was like an accomplishment to beat them, particularly in the playoffs. NFL, for 20 years, the New England Patriots ran everybody's show. And as much as people that aren't Patriots fans, I am, of course, one. As much as people that aren't Patriots fans didn't enjoy that, you can't say it wasn't entertaining. And God, the block parties that would occur when teams beat the Patriots. The Buffalo Bills would have block parties for 2 weeks when they were really bad. They might still be bad. When they were really bad, it was an accomplishment to beat the Patriots. The whole country would be cheering for teams to beat the Patriots. It was entertaining, wasn't it? Like in the NHL, we can't do this. Now, I want your opinion on this. I want your opinion on this, because Kyle Dubas might have some room to do something, because it's unfortunate, but Jake Muzzin, I think Jake Muzzin is done playing hockey.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to tell anybody what to do with their life, dude. But when you start saying things like cervical spine injury and multiple concussions now, I think it's time.
Bad.
And it is really too bad.
Warrior, but
just a good player and a guy who wanted to be a Leaf. And it's sad, but they're going to have that money now available to them on LTIR, and they're going to have some money to do something, and they have to. They're like, oh, he's going to be reevaluated in February. I'm not going to tell a guy what to do.
Let's just move on because I think it's over. Yeah.
I just don't want to see this guy on the ice again, man. That's too scary. You've got 2 cups, play with your kids and hang out, get into coaching, Jake Muzzin. Who knows? He's got a future in hockey if he wants it. I just don't think it should be on the ice. And the Leafs are going to have some room here. They're going to have some wiggle room. And I don't know what they're going to do. Everybody wants them to add a defenseman. You mentioned their goal scoring right now. Nick Robertson is not where they maybe hoped he'd be at. Their left wing is, I think, the lowest slot left wing scoring in the league right now. Like Kerfoot's got like 6 points. Bunting, who finally scored a couple the other day, is not having a good bounce back season. He's probably costing himself some money. And Robertson can't get in.
Where this team would be right now. I hate to see where this team would be now without John Tavares.
400 career goals, man. Let's talk a bit about that. I mean, what an accomplishment. John Tavares has done unbelievable. I almost think he's like underrated because people hate on his cap hit now. And I've been one of them. I still don't like it, but let's talk positively about a guy who deserves it. He just works so hard. He's a model leader. He does all the little things right out there, and he's still such an effective player. There are very few players in the NHL who are better in tight to the crease in terms of generating offense and turning pucks over than John Tavares. And we're talking about a guy that was, an exceptional status player. He broke Wayne Gretzky's junior hockey goal scoring record. Like, let's not forget that this guy is a goal scorer, and he's shown that he can do it at the NHL level. And he almost scored 50 his first year as a Leaf. Yep. It's just another great accomplishment for a guy that unless you're an Islanders fan, it's hard not to be a fan of.
Yeah, he is setting the example game in and game out. He has not taken a day off. And there's a couple of other guys on the team right now who are struggling. How much credit you're giving to Mitch Marner for John Tavares' success? Well, Tavares was scoring before Mitch Marner was put on his line last week. So the quiz on the broadcast the other day was, if Marner's playing with Tavares all year, is he going to get 40 this year? And he's on pace. Like, he's on pace to get 40 again. And it's just his work ethic that it, to me, is like just unbelievable. So I think the guy who's got to get going is Austin Matthews. Like, he's the guy who has got to get the scoring going, and he keeps showing signs of it, but he hasn't gone on that tear, which we are getting, are accustomed to over the past 5 years, 6 years. So I think in the long term that the scoring is going to be fine. But again, I just wish that we could see some trades again. Like, what has there been? Like, one trade in the NHL this year? Like, it's the only one I remember is Ethan Bear, right? But I don't know, man.
Yeah, there's been a couple small things, and it's just, I don't know. Like, people are whispering about Erik Karlsson now and how he'd be willing to leave San Jose. It's just like, that guy makes $11 million. Like, who is picking up the tab here? Like, you want the Sharks to retain half of that for another 4 years? That's pretty gross. And like, he's having a really good season, like a resurgence. One of my favorite players ever. Like, Erik Karlsson, like, everything that happened with his ankle, it's unfortunate. It's an incredible story that he's playing this well. It really is. But man,
he makes too much money to be traded, right? Don't you think?
Oh, geez. Well, it would need to be like,
unless you can get a couple of teams involved, right?
It would have to be, man, because like
salary. It would have to be. Yeah.
To have San Jose take half of that, essentially $5.5 million. You would need them to maybe eat 2.25. have another team involved eat another 225 and have you absorb 5. Like that's what it would have to be. And if there was more of an opportunity to trade more freely without these numbers and calculators that we have to get out every single time we're like, our team should make a trade. Oh, can we afford that? Let me carry the 1 and divide by 5. Like it could happen, but you're right. It's probably going to have to be a multi-team thing to try and do something like that, Clarkey.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm annoyed. I'm just annoyed, man. Like I'm sick of calculators. Like it's not fun. Like, isn't this supposed to be fun?
No.
Like sports?
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
I just I don't know. I just think that there's got to be a better system here. And the whole thing with salary caps is it's like anything in life right now. It's rich guys talking down to us dumb peasants, thinking we're all stupid and selling us these buzzwords. Mm-hmm. What was it with Gary Bettman in the lockout? We want parity. We want equal footing. We want competitiveness. Like the same 5 or 6 teams are still winning the Stanley Cup. For all the parity that we apparently have, like the Penguins have won 3, the Blackhawks have won 3, the Kings won twice. You've got a couple of newer teams. Like it's just like, oh wow, what parity. Boy, it's what parody. Hasn't it been so much parody? Isn't this fun? It's a joke.
Yeah,
I'm sick of it. I don't know, man.
It is a joke.
I'm really getting sick and tired of it. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about this Buffalo Bills thing. I'm so taken aback by this. Like apparently there's going to be too much snow in Buffalo this weekend. And I'm interested. I really would like to reach out to our friend Jake Bullemoss with our great sponsor Coolbet and get his thoughts on what this might do to the line, because the weather is an extreme factor in Buffalo. And just last year, Buffalo, New England played in legitimately a blizzard. It was like Old Man Winter slapped everybody in the face. It was brutal. And now there's going to be too much snow. There's going to be too much snow, and they're moving their next 2 home games apparently to Detroit in a dome. I hate this. I think it's junk.
Has this ever happened? Have the Bills ever moved a game? Like, this.
I
this
can't
news
remember
just
it in
broke,
my
so
lifetime.
We're sort of fresh on this. But it just takes away. Like, I would watch anything if there was snow. I'd maybe even watch a soccer game. But I mean, I would watch, like, there was no question in my mind I was going to tune into that Buffalo Bills game, because there's nothing like watching a game in the snow. Like, I'm hoping, we talked to Waddy in the first part of the show. Like, there's nothing like snow for a Grey Cup. Like, he was involved with that, as we mentioned, that Grey Cup back in Hamilton, I think, when the Argos won. So, like, it's just, I think if it wasn't calling for 6 feet of snow, they're calling for 6 feet. They're not calling for 6 inches. Between Thursday and Sunday, they're saying they could get 6 feet of snow. So I understand the roads will be closed. People won't be able to get out, but people would walk to Orchard Park in Buffalo. They would. They would walk if they had to get to the game, right?
Chris, we're talking about a fan base that actively throws themselves through tables.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They would walk. They would get to the ballpark.
They're not going to walk to Orchard Park.
You know what I mean? But
and listen, man. They always make it, these meteorologist guys, they always make it sound so much worse than it is.
You're right.
You're right. You know what's going to happen, man?
Let's do an over and under. Set the over under, and I'm going to tell you, let's get the Coolbet over under on how much snow they're going to get in inches.
I should text Jake right now and get that as a bet. That's a bet. So let's do it. They're calling for a max of 72 inches of snow.
Correct. 6 feet.
I'm going to set the over under at 33 and a half.
I'll take the over.
You're going to take the over. I'm going to take the under.
That's only 33
I'm taking the
inches.
under.
So that's just under 3 feet.
Yeah. So these guys make it always sound like it's going to be way worse. Like we're going to get this apocalyptic storm.
Yeah. You know why?
I'm actually going to take.
Here's why. Here's why, Ryan. It's obvious why. Because everyone's going to go on their app and look, and they're going to get millions and millions of hits. It happens here in southwestern Ontario as well. Like, hey, Owen Sound, Listowel, Goderich, Exeter, London, we're all going to get it too. We're not going to get
lake
6
effect
feet,
snow.
We're going to get 1 to 2 feet. And then, we didn't get it. Oh, yeah, no. Well, the wind was blowing the wrong way. Well, then don't tell us we're going to get it.
I'll say this. Look, I'm going to take the under on 33.5 inches. I'll actually give you a number. I say max they get 18 inches. It won't be near as bad as they say. I'm going to say they get like 18 to 20. It won't be near as bad. And this goofy move to Detroit will seem extremely dumb Sunday afternoon. Okay. I will say this.
Okay, Producer Adam, make sure you have that clip ready for next week because we're going to relive that right there.
Under 33 and a half. And I'm going to take that they get 18 to 20, like max. It's not going to be that
they'll
bad.
Have 4 feet. They'll have 48 inches.
48 inches. Okay. So we're on very good. We should be on diametric,
exactly.
Thoughts here. This is Instigating.
Teoscar Hernandez.
Teoscar Hernandez, man. Wow. And I'm not surprised given where he is in his arbitration status. He's probably going to be eligible for about 14.1 million. Seattle will be happy to pay him that, I guess. And then he's a free agent. He's 30. Let's just be honest about this guy. We all love Teo. He's a great power hitter. Let's just be honest about this guy. He strikes out a lot. His walk to strikeout ratio over the last couple years, out of 136 qualified hitters, he's 130th. This guy strikes out a lot. He does not walk. He either hits a bomb or he strikes out. Now, that said, we all love him. Electric player. He seemed to always step up with a big home run. Not a very good defender. Like, let's just be honest here, and you can look at the stats.
He's an
average defender.
Average.
No.
Average.
He's not terrible. He's not a gas can out there.
Yeah.
But he's not an elite defender. You can look at his baseball savant page. Yeah. It's sad. I will say this. I still am having trouble being convinced that this trade is fair. Now, Eric Swanson had a great year last year, a career year. You know what he was like before that? Not that good.
Right.
And this kid that they got in the deal, Mako, the prospect, injured all the time. Nate Pearson 2.0, and he doesn't even throw as hard as Nate Pearson. He's injured constantly. Now, if Eric Swanson can step in, who, by the way, is, again, not a guy that throws heavy heat. His fastball is about 94, tops at 95, throws a wicked splitter. Fine. And he's got a high whiff rate. He's got a very high whiff rate. And good. Yeah. Fine. I still don't think that's worth a potential 30 to 35 home run hitter if he's healthy. I'm sorry. I just don't. And I don't want to hear. Go ahead.
No. We're on the same page. I totally agree. Like, you're trading a starting outfielder for a relief pitcher that very often don't have very good seasons back to back. They, like, you can pick these guys off trees in the off season usually, and some pan out and some don't. Like, load them up and see who pans out. Like, I want to give these guys some patience here, and we'll see what happens for the rest of the off season. And hopefully, like, I just ripped the NHL for trades not happening. So I'm happy that they're trying, and they have to do some tinkering. There's no question about it. This team wasn't going to win either. So let's see what happens. But when I first heard they got him for these two guys, I'm like, what? They traded Teo for these two guys? Anyway, you know what? We'll see. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see. I guess they moved Springer to right, and they bring in someone because Tapia was designated for assignment. So it looks like he might be gone too, but
he's gone. He's gone for sure. And they need to diversify their offense. Ross Atkins said that, and I agree. They could use some more left-handers. Is that Andrew Benintendi? Do you play him at center? I would love, and there's rumors, and I do just about anything to get this guy, Brendan Nimmo, a former Met who is an elite defender and a good lefty. Like, let's get this guy in here. I do not want this to turn into a classic spin of, we wanted to save some money and everything. I don't care about saving money. You're Rogers. You're the fourth richest ownership group. No. You
Don't go
replace
there.
this
Don't go
money
there.
and you bring in some pieces, a center fielder to help, a lefty bat, and way more. There needs to be more work done on this bullpen. Okay. I'm not doing this again. I'm not doing it again. We need more. Get Nimmo, get some more relief pitchers. Figure it out.
Yep.
I'm not doing this again.
Yep.
All right. We'll wrap up. That's it for the show this week. We really appreciate everybody watching. As always, you can watch this show Friday nights at 8, Sunday nights at 9 with our friends on Whiteman TV. That's channel 6 for Whiteman subscribers. We debut on our YouTube channel Friday nights at 9. Follow us on social media at Instigating Pod. We appreciate all our great sponsors, including Coolbet, the Listowel Squash Courts, Listowel Vision Care, and See the Game. We're on the Argos. We're on the Argos this weekend. Let's see if they can make Clarkey a happy guy. Oh, no.
Let's do it, baby.
That was passionate. We're on the Argos, and we'll see you next week.